How's it going, guys? Alex Platinum here, and today we're going to be saying goodbye to Destiny 1. I am, anyway. um, Today is going to be the last day that I'm going to be playing Destiny 1. What I wanted to go ahead and do is show all the gear that I have, the weapons that I have in my vault, because each of them have, an individual story, and it's really nice going down memory lane to see, what's been done or how I got those weapons. And it's also good for me too because there were a lot of bads in Destiny 1, but I've also had a lot of fun in Destiny 1 as well. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to it. First, I'm going to start off with my vault. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the weapons that I have in the vault, and this is where I'm going to just end my game. I'm not collecting anymore. It's done. It's done. The first one is going to be the Stranger's Rifle. This is the full auto pulse rifle that you get at the very end of the base storyline of Vanilla Destiny. The next one is going to be Astral Horizon, which is honestly one of my favorite weapons. I was a very big shotgun auto rifle person in year one, so I was very excited to get this on my very first weekend of the very first, wow, I'm already blanking. Trials of Osiris, yes, that one. Okay, so yeah, Trials of Osiris, I was actually able to get this shotgun, and I was very excited about it because of the high impact and the decent range. Not as good as the Felwinters Lie, but it's also just really cool looking, you know? Yeah, yellow and stuff. Anyway, going on to the next one, Radagast Fury. And so the main reason why I kept a lot of these weapons is just because, you can't get them anymore. And it's also kind of cool to see the flavor text also. And I know that the look has been kind of recycled too. But I've also been a big fan of the spray and play and cluster bombs. This has been very useful in a couple of PvE events that I've done. Where I couldn't use the Galahorn because I was already using an exotic. Next one, similar is Wrath, and again, I'm a very big auto rifles person. I was never a big fan of the high rate of fire, low impact, but I gave this one a pass. That's just because of what it came with, the glass half full and counterbalance with perfect balance, and I thought, you know what, if I can control this, this is going to be a lot of fun to use. A lot of fun. The next one is my very first exotic. And so, a funny story with this is that I got this within the first week. The Cryptarch in Gear 1 was very nice to me. I always kept getting um, exotic engrams. And I never got gypped out of any of my engrams. I was okay with it. I actually ended up getting 5 of these by the time the Vault of Glass was released. Oh, sorry, 4 of these. And I held on to the other 3 thinking, okay, you know what, maybe it's going to be useful. Because, everybody was just saying, oh, why waste an exotic slot for the heavy weapons? Galahorn is stupid. And I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to trade it with you guys, my raid group, as soon as trading becomes a thing. Of course, that was never a thing, so I just scrapped them. But I wanted to keep this Galahorn because this is really my first engram exotic right here. And kind of happy about it. Over here, Gellian's Demise. This was a lot of fun to use. You can already see the perks. The it's a high impact and low rate of fire scout rifle. The scope was actually fairly nice. At first, I was just kind of a little iffy about it, but I ended up, liking it a lot. Outlaw, you already know, is one of my favorite perks. High caliber rounds is fun, or explosive rounds with Firefly. So Gellian's Demise was more of a PvE weapon that I used in year one, honestly for fun because I was still using auto rifles, but looking back now I should have been using this a whole lot more. Next one is Jolder's Hammer. This is the machine gun that you get year one in the Iron Banner. And big thing about this one, Feeding Frenzy. I love Feeding Frenzy, and it's got all these balancing perks on here, which is great. Yeah, a lot of fun to use. Next one is going to be Finalis Peril, and you can already see we're going into year 2. Not a lot of my year 1 weapons stayed, but it's okay. The important ones stayed, and you're going to see a little bit more. So Finalis Peril, holding on to this just because a lot of people really liked this hand cannon, very sticky bullets and everything, so I got Hidden Hand on here. Small bore, which is alright, better than Oiled Frame. Surrounded, which is stupid. And Sure Shot, which seriously wish I had True Shot instead. But that's okay. That was just more of a weapon that I wanted to hold on to because it was the best hand cannon that I could get during that Iron Banner. And in all honesty, it's fairly decent with the stats that it has. The Hothead. I have never seen any other rocket launcher like this. That is the only reason why I keep it. It's kind of like the Dragon's Breath, but not really. And I don't think you can get it anymore either. I don't think there's any NPC that can resell it to you, so I'm just holding on to it. Going down here, we got the Vanity. And this is from year 2. I believe it was one of the first sets that you could get. And I just decided to keep it because it was like a little laser pistol and Future War Cult, which is the group I stayed with. And it just looks really cool. It just looks really, really cool. And it's also got Firefly and Luck in the Chamber, which is always fun. But as far as the range, yeah, it sucks. It sucks. That's really about it, though. Dreadfang. Self-explanatory. This is just a sword that's void, and I do not have the Dark Drinker. And so if I do need to use a sword, this was mainly in year 2, as you can see. But if I needed to use a sword with void, I would use this weapon. But I haven't used it in a long time. Long time. Quantum Plasm. This is just for collecting the raid weapons. I just wanted to go ahead and hold on to it because I saw myself saying I'm probably not going to be, doing the raid anymore, so I may as well just hold on to it, call it a day. Felwinters Lie. So this is the first of the 2 Felwinters Lies that I have. The reason why I kept this one is just because I could still shuffle this. And so I kind of mess around with this thing where I could shuffle around the stats and play PvP with whatever perks work the best when using a shotgun. So I use this as a, like a modded shotgun, so I can mess around. It's a lot of fun to use. Over here, again, another raid weapon. This is the Other Nova. This is from the Wrath of the Machine raid. And again, holding on to it because flavor text is actually kind of interesting if you take a look into it. But again, I'm also not going to be doing the raid anymore, so might as well just hold on to it. Yeah, a nice little trophy. Timur's Lash. This is actually a fun weapon that I used a lot of in year 1. Also dubbed the Tim Burton's Lash with a couple friends of mine. So spray and play, send it, and crowd control. This was back in year 1 where you could snipe people, where it had scout rifle range for some stupid reason. And so my buddy and I actually just had both of these weapons. He had a similar role than I did. I'm just like, okay, let's stand all the way back here, and we just started sniping people. It was that easy, and it was so easy to trigger crowd control too, and just keep like 2-shotting people, whatever, just dead, dead, dead. It was a lot of fun to use at the time. Suros, this 43. I'm pretty sure every single person that owns this weapon has this role because I'm sure this is the first. I think this is like the first role that you could get with the gunsmith, and that's of course the SPO-28, Hammered Forge, full auto, and hand laid stock, or snapshot if you wanted to do that. Although most people treated this like an auto rifle, so they wanted that stability versus the range. Pretty fun to use, looks really cool, but it's alright. Next one is the Waltz. This I used a lot of when the Clever Dragon was a big deal. Actually, before the Clever Dragon, the Grasp of Malak. When the Grasp of Malak was a very big deal, I started using this weapon a little bit more to compete. Headseeker, I've seen heads or tails about its, utility, and I just decided, I like it. I like it. It's a lot of fun. Small bore for that, what is it? Increase. I completely forgot. It's been a while. Range and stability. High caliber rounds, of course, for the stagger, as everybody knows, you have to have stagger in these kinds of weapons. And sure shot, which is a really nice scope. Really, really nice looking scope. But yeah, this was my main pulse rifle for a little bit until I got another pulse rifle that we're going to talk about, and then all the way up to my final pulse rifle that I'll show you guys later. Where are we? Here we go. Sarnia D. So the Sarnia D is the kind of the Monte Carlo of the gunsmith weapons. A lot of fun to use. The scope on here, the SC Hollow, just for that target acquisition, crowd control, rangefinder to increase that range, and then of course you got balanced, brace frame, not balance frame, for that stability. So this thing does not move, and you just fire away. It's also got a decent amount of bullets, and crowd control does help out a lot in PvE and PvP with rangefinder. Next we have another trophy weapon, Zil Vector. Again, it's just a sidearm, looks kind of cool, not going to do the raid again, so I decided to keep it. Distant Star, this, I cannot remember. I believe this is actually the Distant Star that I ended up rolling the first week that it was being dropped in the... Oh, actually no, this one may have been store-bought. Yeah, I think this one is a store-bought one. And just because the Firefly was always nice, handlaid stock and scout rifles, in my opinion, are fairly nice too. And full auto because I'm lazy. That's all. Fabian Strategy. Year 2, this was a lot of fun to use, in my opinion. I even brought it into the Iron Banner and used it effectively, just rushing, just keep moving forward, and then with a shotgun in hand too. But this was like the main thing. It also holds a decent amount of rounds too, which is really nice. And life support does help out a lot, especially if you're being very aggressive. And what do we got? Here's the Steel Madula. I've already done a video about this before. You already know I really like it. It's got a decent rate of fire with good impact, and it also staggers. And of course full auto because I'm a lazy player. Over here we got the Longbow Synthesis. This is the best longbow I've ever received. Nothing better. Short gaze, partial refund I actually really do like in PvP because I am not the best shot with a sniper, but damn, this thing is really nice because it just gives me back my money back. Money back. So partial refund if you do shoot an enemy and do not kill them, but your buddy does, you still get a like a round back. So it's kind of like mulligan, but you actually hit the dude and you're helpful to the team rather than just missing and not doing anything. Snapshot, which was really fun for just a quick scope. Although I know in Destiny 2 that quick scope thing is kind of gone now with the radar. But that's okay. That's okay. I still enjoy it, and I think it's going to make it PvP a lot more interesting. From what I've played anyway, it's been a lot more interesting. Firefly, which is really fun because dude's just exploding everywhere. It also, I want to say, it kind of intimidates your enemies too, because it's just like they're going into a group together, and then they see the one guy get like shot in the head, and he just blows up. They're just like, oh, okay, yeah, we're not moving. Going to the next one, the Continental. You guys have already seen my video. If you've been seeing my videos, you already know the Continental is also one of my favorite auto rifles. Hidden hand, perfect mount, spray and play, and quick draw IS. And this is just pulling down the trigger and then just kind of sprinting forward. You know, whatever, just run and gun. That's what this weapon is right here. Just keep shooting until you run out of ammo, and reload super fast. The fourth Horseman has been an inside joke between my initial raid group from year 1 and part of year 2. And the reason for that is it just, one, it looks cool. It was a PlayStation exclusive too, and it was just kind of like it's like a 5-round burst. If you pull down the trigger longer than a second, then you know you have to reload, and it was just a lot of fun. I actually ended up using this on the what's his name? Skolas, that's the guy. So Skolas in the Prison of Elders, there was a time where he was weak to arc damage, and so I actually went with a group of people. I think one person used Thunderlord, 2 of us used a 4th Horseman, and it was just a lot of fun. You know, just bouncing around. I don't think we ended up beating him that way. We ended up beating him the smarter way. Being more tactful than, just sprinting up to him and just spamming all together. Next one we got here is the Binding Blaze, another raid, or sorry, not raid, Iron Banner weapon. And this is the best roll that I was able to get from this, and that's reactive reload, high caliber rounds, hand-loaded. Yeah, hand-loaded. And, of course, the regular sight over here. Going to the next weapon. That is Covalence's Duty. Calathes? It's a scout. It's a scout. It's going to be very similar to that year 1 scout that you saw before, except for the only difference is it does not have Firefly, and the scope is just a little bit different. Although nowadays, I'd probably use the quick draw instead of this bulky thing over here. Ah, braced frame. That's not bad. Although PvE, I think explosive rounds is still a lot more fun to play with. Thorn. This is the year 1 Thorn. There's a reason why I kept this, and that is because this quest was a pain to do. It was such a pain that I just decided I'm going to just keep this weapon, and if my vault is full, I'm going to delete some other weapon that I don't use. I know that I can buy this. I do know that. But because of how much of a pain it was to get, I just decided I want to keep this weapon. Because I worked really hard for this thing, especially the PvP quest side of the story, which I think is going to be the same as the current one too, to get the updated Thorn, where you have to use the void weapons in PvP. Right over here, Clever Dragon. This is my best Clever Dragon. Unflinching, just to counter all the other flinching Clever Dragons out there. I could use Rangefinder, but this honestly worked a little bit better for me. High caliber rounds, because you have to. Handlaid stock for that max stability. I could use Hammered Forge, but I prefer handlaid stock so I can get, those headshots all in there. And the regular sight. A lot of fun to use. It's honestly kind of a fun meta to play, but it did get ridiculous playing PvP. Next one we got is the Outbreak Prime, and this is the Reid pulse rifle that you get from doing the fun little puzzles in the Wrath of the Machine. Very nice looking exotic, in my opinion. One of the best, if not the best looking exotic. It's just really cool. And this perk is also a lot of fun to use. But yeah, Outbreak Prime, very fun weapon. The Murmur. You guys remember this? Year 1, this thing dominated a little bit of PvP for the knee pads perk, which I didn't even think was good until recently. And I'll show you my my current fusion rifle, but this thing is awesome. Right over here we have Grenadier, which is good for aggressive grenade play. I want to say it's a really good one for hunters to be using way back. And it's also got a really nice, I want to call this like an exotic perk, because you could just change the damage type and the archetype of the weapon, where it goes from, this kind of archetype where the charge rate is a little bit higher, but the impact's a little bit lower, to the higher impact and slower charge rate. And increased range too. Very, very nice. And where we go? Here we go. Iron Wreath. This is the best Iron Wreath that I could get. Battle Runner and Crowd Control have been my 2 favorite ones in year 2. I actually have a shotgun that had very similar perks, and I used that a lot too during the beginning of year 2. But I was never a sidearm guy. They're cool, don't get me wrong, but just not my thing. And Lingering Song. This thing I got when the Lingering Song was first dropping in the Iron Banner, and never really cared for it. My big thing was the my Ill Will. For this kind of archetype weapon, Ill Will was the thing. But I decided to keep this just because of the increased range here, and I can just play around with either Hidden Hand or Firefly if I wanted to. This is just a for fun weapon if I ever felt like bringing it out. Genesis Chain. I do not have the exotic Genesis Chain, and right now as it stands, I'm probably not going to get it. And that's just because I'm done with the game. But this weapon is great. The Focus Firefly has been a lot of fun to use, and high caliber rounds too. So PvP, it's fairly fun to use. Not my go-to weapon though, but it is still fun to use. But in PvE, this thing is great. It's awesome, especially in the raid. The next one we do have is Ditris Retort. It's the year 2 shotgun from the Iron Banner. And you can see right here, Battle Runner and Reinforced Barrel for that. Oh, is that the range? Yep. For that nice range. So range, shotgun, or Battle Runner, sorry. And Surrounded, which is meh, Honestly, I could get better perks, but Battle Runner was the big thing here. Right over here is Shadow Price. This one I got in year 3, of course, but never really cared to use it. I mean, I'm looking at the stats right now, and they look fairly decent. The sight is decent. Rangefinder is decent. Oh, I want to say it's because of Danger Close. It's more of a PvE weapon then, but it's I don't really care. I just kept it just because it was kind of cool, and it was auto rifles, and I collect those. Next one we got is Grim Citizen. Now this one I actually really do like, because I really like the sight for one, spray and play, perfect balance, and hidden hand. Now, did I ever get to use this weapon? Not really. It looks cool, and the perks are actually very decent, and I'm actually surprised that I never used it. I think I may have used it like once or twice, but that's it. But overall, this is honestly a great roll right here. And next, gotta keep doing this. Nah, that's fine. The Invective. This is my first exotic from a quest that I've ever received, and I used this specific weapon a lot until I got my very first Monte Carlo. Actually, Hardlight. Hardlight was my very first exotic primary, and I used that a lot in the Vault of Glass, especially holding down the middle lane. But this one in particular was really, really cool. I like the idea of it recharging ammo over time. It was very decent, and I never really did a lot of PvP. PvE, though, I did. I did it a lot. So that's why I kept this weapon. That's why I did not upgrade the damage or anything. I wanted to keep it in its original form. So what you're looking at here is the very first quest exotic that I've ever received in Destiny, period. Next one is Steel Oracle Z11. This is my main heavy weapon that I used in year 1 of Destiny. Hard launch you got here, tracking and spray and play were the big things for me. You also got Javelin too to increase that velocity. But this was my main heavy weapon, and I did not want to change it out. I mean, if I did, I would have used the Gjallarhorn. That's it. There was no other heavy weapon that I used. It was strictly the Steel Oracle, and because it was one of my original year 1 loadouts, I decided to keep it because, you know, it's nice. It's nice holding on to these things and also using it in PvP just for fun down the road. An Answering Chord. This one is really cool. I kind of like the orange aesthetic to it. It kind of looks the same as like the Genesis Chain and all the other Suros weapons. It's just the color scheme is a little bit different. But when I looked at the perks on this thing, the scopes are fairly decent, but these here are very nice. So you got Hammered Forged here, Hand-Laid Stock. Range decreases just a little bit, but this is, you know, it's an auto rifle. That's okay. We also got Glass Half Full with the low rate of fire, high impact kind of archetype for the auto rifle. And so, honestly, it's kind of cool. I never got to use it, but yeah, that's okay. I'm not worried. Dr. Nope. This auto rifle was my main auto rifle in year 1 other than using the exotic primaries. This thing right here has like my favorite perks for an auto rifle. It's kind of weird too because you're looking at right now my very first primary legendary weapon that I've ever received in Destiny 1. I'm really, really happy to get this thing too. It was a lot of fun to use. It's got the red dot, it has Outlaw, it has perfect balance, and it has Third Eye. When I dabbled a little bit in PvP in year 1, this is of course the weapon I used, and that's just because Third Eye was a lot of fun to use there. But even in PvE, it was very decent in the Vault of Glass. But yeah, this is up there. I freaking love this weapon, and it's also a high rate of fire, low impact weapon. This is the only one that I've ever liked until I got a hold of the Arminius D, which you're gonna see later. Next one is what do we got? Haha, the Felwinters Lie. You all know this weapon. This is the best sniper in year 1. I know it says shotgun, but trust me when I say that it is the best sniper in year one. So we got aggressive ballistics. Cascade I've loved because I was a very up close and personal guy. And so if I was running up to your face, I would be punching you if you didn't go down after that first shotgun shot, and then Cascade would come in. Right over here, it says it automatically reloads a portion of the weapon. But back in year one, what it actually did was increase your reload speed substantially, so that way you're ready to go ahead and shoot off the next guy. Hammered Forge, because this is a sniper, and Rangefinder, because this is a sniper. I know a lot of people use Casket Mag for this one. I've had a lot more consistency with Rangefinder. I may have just been very lucky, but I enjoy this shotgun a lot. So this is the main shotgun that I used in year one, along with either Dr. Nope or using the Monte Carlo. Going on to the next weapon, we got a fun little exotic, the Zalo Supercell, and this is really just for year three um, elemental damage. That's really it. That it was just a year three elemental damage. It was also good for dealing with PvE situations where you had huge groups of enemies coming at you because you could just, you know, shock them all. Also, this skin is really, really decent. What does this one look like again? Not a big fan. Not a big fan. I prefer the other one. Looks a whole lot better. Whalens March. This is not the best sniper that... Well, actually, this is the best Whalens March that I could have gotten in the Iron Banner during the time. And this one is coming with Ambush. Yep, no short gaze. Underdog, which is kind of weird, but it did help out quite a bit. Injection Bolt and Unflinching, back when Unflinching was, you know, somewhat useful with a sniper. Nowadays, it's just kind of a waste of space. But Unflinching was a lot of fun, and Underdog helped out a little bit too, especially during the Iron Banner when people used this sniper, because it did not always kill you with the shot. Shot to the head, yes, but not a body shot. And so this kind of helped out if I needed to get that nice little ease into their face and then just fire off a round. Next one we got here is Hakon's Hatchet. This is probably my favorite archetype of auto rifle. I never really used it though. I never really used it. I don't know why. I never really cared to. It's got decent perks. Yeah, it's got decent perks. Hand loaded, which is meh. Counterbalance, of course. Crowd control. Sure shot. Yeah. If anything, this may have just been a store-bought one because I couldn't get a really good roll. Can't really remember though. Like I said, never really used it. Over here we got the Devil's Dawn. And this I got preparing for the raid. You already know what this is. It has the exact same perks, life support, firefly, quick draw, and it also has that very high impact too. So all in all, very good for everything that is Rise of Iron and PvP too. It's a very good weapon for PvP. Something wicked is a year 3 not shotgun, rocket launcher that I used, and it has very similar perks that I was really into in year 2, which is, well, tracking I'm always into, but the Battle Runner and Javelin, always really, really nice. And so this right here, in my opinion, is the best roll that you can get with something wicked, and of course with hard launch too, for that nice velocity right there. But yeah, PvP, I would just fire this thing and then just keep moving. Keep moving, get that nice Battle Runner perk up for a little bit, and then just move on to the next guy. Right over here we have Treads Upon Stars. This is the best Treads Upon Stars that I've ever received. This is also the main weapon, primary, that I used during the raid at the time, with the Taken King. And the reason for that is because, well, one, high caliber rounds is always good, but because of Will of Light. Will of Light mixed with Firefly and Crowd Control with True Sight, it was like the perfect scout for me during the raid. The perfect scout. So if I went in the raid, I always pulled this weapon out, and I've always used it. Never used any other primary. It's kind of weird, but this thing was just fantastic. And it is fantastic. You can still use it today. Hawksaw. So I was never one of the lucky guys to buy the Hawksaw from the NPC during year 2, like earlier than year 2 too, before they did like a reshuffle of the weapons. But this thing's got Snapshot, Head Seeker, Perfect Balance, and it's got the SPO28. This is the best Hawksaw that I could get, and I'm happy with it. I'm honestly really happy with it. It's not as good as what the other guys sold, but it is a very decent weapon, and it gets the job done. It kills. So the video is actually going a little bit longer than expected. So what I decided to do is split up the video into 3 parts. Of course, the weapon that you saw, and then after that, in the next video, we're going to start again with one of my ill wills that I recently received. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this first part of looking at all of my weapons, and I'll see you in the next video.